Well, now to something that will shock and even sicken you. Your taxpayer money, they charge, going to support convicted terrorists and their families. You know what many feel is the use of our American tax dollars, essentially ending up rewarding terrorist acts. That's what a bill in the United States Senate is now aimed at trying to end. One terror victim's family and several of his West Point classmates, well, they went to Capitol Hill, as you can see this week, to sit down with more than half a dozen U.S. senators on both sides of the aisle, and they gave their plea for this young man, Taylor Force. We were privileged to go along with them. They are on one of the most meaningful deployments of their lives. A group of West Point graduates on a mission for one of their fallen classmates and his family. They came to support the Taylor Force Act, a bill that would cut off American aid to the Palestinian Authority if it does not stop paying terrorists who kill Israelis and American citizens. Taylor was 28 years old, had served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and was stabbed to death by a Palestinian terrorist in Tel Aviv, Israel, 2 years ago.
Palestinians have a reward program for terrorism committed in Israel. Taylor was a victim.
It is bipartisan. It's not political, but it should be bipartisan, which it should be, and it needs to change.
Taylor is the best younger brother a girl could ask for.
His sister Kristen called him her hero.
I truly hope no other family has to go through what my family has been through, and that people aren't rewarded for killing others.
The bill would cut off roughly $300 million a year in American aid, about the same amount the Palestinian Authority says it gives to its Martyrs Fund, money that helps convicted killers and their families.
The idea that American tax dollars, or particularly the Force's tax dollars, would go to pay the family of the man that killed their son is just seems completely backwards to anything that America would stand for.
Taylor's West Point classmates agree.
It was life was taken from him, robbed from him. It wasn't lost in combat. It wasn't in uniform. He was on the other side. So it was very, very difficult for us to process. He was like a brother to us.
They found this especially galling. Palestinians hailing Taylor's killer as a hero at his funeral in the West Bank.
Yeah, I was absolutely disgusted. You know, even before then, to hear about the Palestinian Authority celebrating his death, and it was this great thing. And to me, I thought, no, you took one of the best people I've ever met, one of my closest friends, a guy who'd do anything for anyone. This shouldn't be celebrated and paid off. Obviously, it should be penalized.
The White House has recently been ratcheting up the pressure on the Palestinians by moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem this spring and cutting off some aid. Some have cautioned cutting the payments could undermine the Palestinian Authority's standing, and President Mahmoud Abbas has vowed they will continue.
The Americans are always telling us that we must stop paying salaries to the families of martyrs and prisoners. We categorically reject this demand.
Good to see you again, sir. Yes, sir. No, good to see you. Thank y'all for coming.
Some of the more than half dozen senators from both sides of the aisle who met with Force's family and friends have said they support the bill, but were not ready to go on the record. Others had no such reluctance.
Thank you for stepping out and leading on this and using tragedy. I know y'all are hurting, but thank you for using the tragedy of that murder as a catalyst for good. How do you explain to any American that your taxpayer dollars are going to fund terrorists who are murdering Americans? It's indefensible, and it needs to stop, and it needs to stop now.
We want to put an end to that, and that's why we've led the effort to create the Taylor Force Act. I think it's going to become law soon.
At the end of an exhausting day, there was optimism.
So it's been well worth it.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
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 Very much.
Every bit of energy we've dedicated is totally worth it.
Well, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, well, he is a co-sponsor of the bill, and Senator Schumer says that no Democrat will stop it. The White House does say if the legislation reaches the president's desk, he will sign the Taylor Force Act into law, and we will keep you updated on the legislation's progress, as well as Taylor's family and his friends as they try to stop those payments.